Today I've got kind of a random software tool you might find useful and didn't even realize you needed. It's called TRID, or maybe TRID, I'm not sure, and it's a file identifier tool. Now hold on, because I know what you're thinking. Well, wait a minute, you just look at the file extension, and why do I even need to do that anyway? But that is not actually true, and I think there's uses that you probably are not considering. I'm TheoJoe, and let's get into it, and let me know if you want me to do more of these types of random tool discussions in the future. Here's a real life example that I literally encountered just yesterday. So I was having an issue opening a screenshot file from my iPhone in Photoshop. It was giving an error. The file type was an HEIC file, but for some reason it was only the screenshots, not a regular HEIC from the camera. And since Windows Explorer was also not showing a thumbnail preview of this particular file, but it was for others, I figured maybe it was some kind of weird format difference. And when I ran the tool on both of these, I could see that the not working one was slightly different. It mentioned HEIX, whereas the working one just said HEIC. And apparently HEIX is an extension of the format HEIC, so not exactly the same, but they do have the same file extension. So with this extra information, I was able to make probably a much more helpful bug report in the Adobe forum so that they can fix it and support this special type of HEIC file. And I have some other example scenarios in a second, but another general use case is that you might not realize a lot of file extensions are actually lies. Well, not a malicious lie, but for example, you might not realize that a lot of the Microsoft Office files like Word docs or PowerPoint are actually, despite the extensions, just zip files in disguise. You can literally change the extension to a zip file and extract it. The same goes for Apple's document files, as well as a bunch of others. And I made a whole video talking about that before, but just as a demonstration, if we put a docx file into the tool, you can see that it does show it, in addition to being recognized as a Word document. It can be that specific, but it also matches being a zip file too. So it'll show you multiple if there's different patterns that it recognizes, or at least the most likely one if it's not 100% sure. Actually, here's a related tip with that. The tool 7-Zip, or my preferred fork of it, NanaZip, is able to automatically detect a lot of archive files. So if you, for example, run it on just a Word doc file, it's able to recognize that under the hood it's a zip file and actually extract it. So I'll do that sometimes where I'll just try extracting a file with NanaZip, and a lot of times it just works. But even if it does and you know it's an archive, it might be useful to know the exact type. But there are several other situations where this could be helpful. And let me know in the comments if you think of any more, because I only came up with these off the top of my head. One example might be game save files. Like you're playing a single player game and maybe you just want to kind of mess around with it and edit your save file, or maybe it's corrupted or something. Take, for example, this .sav file from the game Penumbra. If I put this file into the tool, interestingly, it's able to actually recognize this literal game's specific save file, but also it shows me that more generically, it's an HPL engine save game. So if I did want to edit the save file, I could now much more easily look up a tool for that general type of file and be able to do it. Another use case might be for file recovery. Like if you're using a program and maybe its configuration or just a general file that you are using with it is not necessarily corrupted, but again, maybe something's weird with it and the program won't let you change it, but you're wondering if you can open it up and edit it manually. Again, that might be useful if you put it in and realize that, oh, it's actually a SQLite database file or something like that, or just a compressed archive, and go from there. Of course, this could be really useful for reverse engineering, or maybe there's some kind of data in a program that you want to extract, but it doesn't let you export it normally. But you can see that maybe the program is saving the data in a more generic file type like .dat or .db or bin. And a lot of times these are actually just database files. Or it could also be some kind of file with no extension at all, like this file from the Google Chrome cache folder. And it looks like this is either a WebView cache data or web cached item. So if for some reason I needed to parse the data in there, that would make it a lot easier to find a tool that probably already exists for doing that. Now, talking a little bit more about the app itself, obviously it doesn't rely on the file extension. It actually uses a whole bunch of different patterns of data collected by the developer and other people who might have submitted it over time. And there's like 20,000 almost definitions of different unique file types that it's able to recognize based on these patterns and definitions. And by the way, these patterns are a little bit more sophisticated than simply looking at the so-called signature or magic number that a lot of files have at the beginning. Like for example, if you open a file in Notepad and see that it starts with PK, that means it's a zip file, but not every file type has that. So again, it uses more sophisticated definitions than that. There's actually two different versions. One is the GUI version that I've been showing you with the graphic user interface, and there's also a command line version. version. For both of them, the definitions are hosted separately, so you download those because they're updated way more frequently. Actually, like every few days, a whole bunch of new definitions are added. I will say the command line version is a lot easier to update the definitions for. For that, it's literally just a single file that you download and extract. It's a TRD file. That's a special one for this program. And with the command line version, you can even automatically have it downloaded with just a command. Unfortunately, for the GUI version, you don't have that single file you can download. You have to download a 7-zip archive, which extracts out to like thousands of files, which kind of takes a while to extract. And then once you run the GUI, it'll actually look in there and convert it to one file, a TRS file. So I don't know why he doesn't just host the pre-made TRS file that you can download. It really kind of makes it annoying to have to extract it out and stuff. Anyway, there is another related tool called TRIDScan, which is if you want to like contribute and scan a different file type, a whole bunch of samples of it, and then it will basically create a pattern so it'll be able to be recognized for other people in the future. You just send it to the guy and he'll kind of add it, I guess. So if you're an advanced user who deals with very, very obscure files that aren't recognized, that might be something to consider. So yeah, this is one of those tools where you probably don't need it very often, but when you do need it, it really comes in handy. And again, I would be curious if you guys have any ideas for how you might find this useful that I didn't even think of. We could talk about that all down in the comments. Next up, I would recommend that video where I did talk about how many different types of files are actually just zip files in disguise. I'll put that link right there you can click on. And if you want to subscribe, I try to make videos about twice a week, so it should be worth it. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, give it a big giant thumbs up. It helps out. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.